We opened up the last show with news of uncommitted delegates being denied a speaking role at the DNC. And that's where we're going to pick up today, because as a result of that, you had Muslim Women for Harris disbanding. So Muslim Women for Harris disbands and withdraws support for candidate. Group says Harris campaign denying a Palestinian speaker at the Democratic Convention is a terrible message. On the third night of the Democratic National Convention, the group Muslim Women for Harris released a statement announcing that it was disbanding in response to the Harris-Walz campaign refusal to allow a Palestinian person to speak on the main stage. The statement was released as members of Uncommitted National Movement, which won 30 delegates to the convention, and their supporters held a sit-in outside of the convention. Ilhan Omar joined the demonstration for some time, and AOC called into the sit-in via FaceTime. That'd be fun. So you call in from inside the venue to outside the venue? I wonder where she was when she called in. That would be funny. The sit-in came in after the anti-war group was told a Palestinian person would not be allowed to speak on the main stage. Until then, whether or not such a speech would happen was up in the air. During the sit-in, Muslim Women for Harris pulled their support for the Democratic nominee. We cannot in good conscience continue Muslim Women for Harris waltz in light of this new information from the uncommitted movement that VP Harris's team declined their request to have a Palestinian speaker take the stage at the DNC, the group statement reads. Kamala Harris's campaign notably invited the family of Israeli hostage Hirsch Goldberg Poland to speak on Wednesday, which Uncommitted supported. The group called for a similar platform for a Palestinian person. Uncommitted delegates urged the Democratic Party to reject a hierarchy of human value by ensuring Palestinian voices are heard on the main stage. We are learning that Israeli hostages' families will be speaking from the main stage. We strongly support that decision and also strongly hope that we will also be hearing from Palestinians who have endured the largest civilian death toll since 1948, the Uncommitted statement read. During the family's speech, the hostages' family speech, Goldberg Poland's father, John Poland, called for a return to the hostages and an end to the suffering of innocent civilians in Gaza, joining other speakers like Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, who both made reference to Israel's ongoing war in Gaza. During the course of the Democratic Convention, calls for a ceasefire have been met with raucous applause from audience members. Still, some have said the party's nods have fallen short. The family of the Israeli hostage that was on stage tonight has shown more empathy toward Palestinian Americans and Palestinians than our candidate or the DNC has, Muslim Women for Harris's statement read. This is a terrible message to send to Democrats. Palestinians have the right to speak about Palestine. Anna Zaitchik, who has multiple family members who are hostages. What's that?
Alana.
Oh, sorry, Alana. Alana Zaitchik, who has multiple family members who are hostages, spoke out in support of having a Palestinian American speak on the main stage. Quote, Rachel and John deserved every second on that stage. I also believe a Palestinian American voice deserves to be heard on that stage. Zaitchik wrote on X, I'd love to hear from Rua for Georgia, whose speech was rejected. We played that on the last show. And I hope the DNC will give her the chance to be heard. Chicago, where the DNC is being held this year, has one of the largest Palestinian communities in the U.S. Muslim Women for Harris did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but they pulled their support because of the lack of equal time. And, you know, I mentioned when we did one of our long live streams during the DNC how the Israeli hostage families were on the stage. They were okay with a Palestinian taking the stage. You know, if the Democrats really wanted to send a peace message, maybe bring them up together. Think about that. If they didn't want to give a Palestinian, God forbid, the full stage, right, where they might go off script. They weren't going to go off script. They were the speech called for an endorsement. What do you think? They wrote that to fake it? So look, Muslim Women for Harris, they bailed. That leads what? The white dudes and the white women. They're the least woke standing, as it turns out. They got yes, they were outlifted by the Muslim
dude.
Women. No,
the dude is not concerned about the lives of Palestinian people. Shocker.
The dude abides.
The dude abides. He abides genocide. The dude abides genocide.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
We should put that in the merch store.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, this really demonstrates the absolute stranglehold that AIPAC has, not just on the Democrats, on both parties. They are terrified of doing anything that is going to get them a phone call from the ADL and from AIPAC. They know the merest gesture, the merest nod towards the humanity and the rights and the dignity of the Palestinian people is going to get them pressure from AIPAC. And AIPAC is apolitical. They're not Democrats. I mean, they're apolitical within our context, within our political system. They don't give a
Nonpartisan,
shit.
bipartisan.
Yeah, they'll flip to Trump in a heartbeat. So yeah, that's they are not really, as we have seen since October 7th. It's really the tail wagging the dog. Who is whose client here?
Right. Yeah, and good on them for withdrawing their support. They reacted the only way anyone of any dignity or self-worth could. Whereas, after being disrespected in that way, you have to withdraw support because you know what? AIPAC has a responsibility to their donors and their handlers not to show any humanity to the Palestinian people. Well, so does Muslim Women for Harris. Like if you're organizing, This is what we keep saying over and over again. If you're organizing, there have to be certain red lines. There have to be certain boundaries. It doesn't mean you need uniformity of opinion within those boundaries. It means that you stay within those boundaries. Okay, if you cross over to endorsing pro-genocide candidates like Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, then there's no point in having this organization. At this point, the organization stands for nothing, right? Doesn't mean you need full ideological agreement within the boundaries, but you do need firm boundaries. And so they had one, and apparently that insult was too much for them. And so they pulled their endorsement. And, look, this is an election that is looking very, very, very close. This could be closer than 2020. It could be closer than 2016. It really is looking like Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, with that wild card, Michigan. Those are the four states that are really going to swing this. And, when you have a population in Michigan that was ready to abandon Biden, and then half of them blinked and changed to uncommitted, now you have them turning their back again. It's a very dangerous game. I think there is perhaps some overconfidence now in the Kamala Harris camp that they can just do without those Muslim voters, and that is not the case. As much as Kamala has had the lion's share of good press over the past 30 days, that momentum wave that she caught brought this to a 50-50 race. It didn't make her the odds-on favorite. It brought it to a coin toss, but it's still a coin toss. And in a close race, you need every vote you can get, and this is a major slap in the face to a specific cohort of people with an outsized presence in easily the top 5 and most important swing states. Probably number 4, if I had to say. So, yeah, I mean, that is taking a huge chance unnecessarily. There is no way that the uncommitted were going to go up there and go off script and say anything that would cost Kamala votes. What they may have said was something that would cost Democrats some AIPAC money, and that seems to be what they prioritized.
Some AIPAC money, some AIPAC support, as they always do, with some justification, frankly. They figure, the Cenk kind of people are going to come home to them anyway. Right. And convince themselves that there's some secret agenda or justify voting for them that way. And in the end, they'll go for the school lunch. And honestly, you see that on both sides. Some of the comments on your passionate argument against RFK flipping to Trump because of RFK. Some people were saying, hey, you got people who can't eat, they can't afford anything, and whether you believe Trump is going to solve that or not, they're making the case. Yeah, hell yeah, I got to vote on that. It's not like there's an anti-genocide vote. Right. And on the Democrat side, this is this is the case a lot of them are making, although Democrats are not comfortable with that kind of cruel calculus regarding Palestine. So they tell themselves, no, she's got something up her sleeve. You just wait. She's just saying this now. You just wait, which, to be fair, the Trump people say that too. No, once he gets in there, you're going to see. He was already in there. Unlike Kamala, he was actually already in there.
Right.
We've already seen that, no, that's really what he believes. That's really what he's going to do in regards to that issue. But they're also worried in terms of voters. Hey, they're worried about the Juliana Margulies going over to the Republicans, man. They'll do it. They'll do it.
Oh, yeah,
if they feel like the Republicans are really going to support Israel and the Democrats are wavering, they'll go Republican in a heartbeat. All the gay rights, all the black lives, they don't give a fuck about that. In the end, Israel. For Zionists, that is the moral cause. Everything else takes a back seat.
Please clap.